I have with me Mr. Samir Kumar, the head of Amazon India. He's steering the e-commerce giant strategy in a high growth, but one of the most dynamic and competitive markets in the world. Samir, many thanks for speaking to PTI.
Thank you, Momita. Welcome to Amazon and welcome to Bangalore. I hope you enjoy your stay here.
Thank you so much. Samir, we're meeting in the backdrop of a lot of changes, right? There is AI, there is this whole trade and tariff negotiations that is playing out globally, but also the festive season, the consumer protection lens, and so many of those things that I want to talk to you about. I must start with you, though. 25 years at Amazon. You know, you joined Amazon when Amazon was, what, just 5 years old?
Less than 5. So 1999, we started in 95. We had just gone public and we were about $1 billion in top line in 1999. And we have come a long way since then. And we were mostly a books and a music and DVD seller, and we were just expanding into rest of the categories at that time. And we had launched 2 more countries, like UK and Germany were launched, and we were expanding into next set of countries when I came in. So it was interesting time, but it's been an amazing journey for me as well for the last 25 years. So
you've practically grown with Amazon. How is Amazon of today different from what you saw it in those early years? And the second part of that question is, what prompted you to try out the second innings here in Amazon India?
I see. Good question. I think I will start with, people ask me this question quite a bit. What's different about Amazon from what was in 99? I'll start by saying what has stayed the same with Amazon, and that's what has helped us grow to what we are. I think our customer focus, customer obsession has remained the same, right? So it is what has driven Amazon to where our culture of innovation has stayed the same. Our zeal to be a very large startup has remained the same, and inventing and innovating on behalf of the customers have remained the same. So a lot has remained the same, and including the people that I work with every day, like the kind of people that I work with every day, it's amazing. So I think those are things that have stayed same. I think what I have seen in the past 25 years is the diversity of business that we have gone into and solved customer problem. When I was there in 1999, there was no AWS, but we invented that on behalf of our customers. So there's that whole diversity of business. The scale of our business is tremendous, and with that scale comes a lot of responsibility. So we are much more responsible company. We are doing a lot more things outside of Amazon as well to help customers beyond what we do, what we are good at. So that being said, the answer to how things are same or different over time, and the question on the second stint, it's amazing. Again, the difference is I came in 2012 to do a startup. I started with a team of 20 people, grew to a few hundred people. And when I left in 2016, we are still a small but growing really fast business. When I come back here, the scale of business is inspiring to me. And we have become a household name in India, which is also very inspiring. But a lot has remained the same in terms of we still obsess over customer. We are still building India's largest selection. We want to build the fastest speed in India. And the team that I work with is amazing to work with them. So those have remained constant for us as well.
Let's talk about investments. 2,000 crore earmarked only for 2025. There is a broader pledge of $26 billion. Part of that has already been invested, but between 2023 and leading up to 2030, there was a commitment of $15 billion. That's a lot of money. Where is that investment going to go in?
I think, first of all, that 2,000 crore that we talk about, that you mentioned, it's only for our operations team, and that's only in this past few months or the last year, this year and last year, we have invested to increase our fulfillment footprint. So we have gone into some white spaces that we are not there before, including cities like Hubli and Bhubaneswar and Trichy. Like, these are places that we are not there. So we are increasing speed. So we are investing in fulfillment capacity. Along with that, if you look at our investment, the pledges that we have made, like, we'll have a lot more in AWS. We pledged $8 billion with government of Maharashtra to build data centers there. So there will be AWS investment. We are investing in content. Indian contents are very popular around the world. So Prime Video is doing quite well. In fact, some of our series that we have done in India, they go on global chart and do well around the globe. So in fact, the last one, Panchayat, has been so successful, not just in India. It did really well in India, but it has done well around the world. So we have invested in content. Along with that, if you look at India as a whole, we have a very large set of Amazonians here who are building our global business. So we have invested in people in India as well. So we together, and so that's one part of it. Then if you look at the ecosystem, like we have contributed to millions of jobs in India, like so direct and indirect jobs. We have invested in building the seller ecosystem. If you look at 1.6 million sellers that are selling on Amazon, out of that about 150,000 sellers, about 10% of that population, is selling globally for us. So we have enabled $20 billion of exports already. That's going to 80 billion by 2030. So we're going to take all the manufacturers and entrepreneurs who are currently selling on Amazon India to sell around the globe. So a lot of investment is going into enabling that seller ecosystem. So creating jobs is priority number one for us in India. Enabling the manufacturers and entrepreneurs to be able to take their products around the globe remains a big priority. And along with that, the human talent that we have in India, for them, enable them to go and look around the world for us in Amazon is going to be very big for us as well.
How do you look at this whole how do you look at this whole India growth opportunity? What are the big pockets of growth? What are the big drivers of growth? And beyond the headlines, you've also talked about scaling up to 200 million customers. Where is that additional incremental consumer base going to come from in already a deeply penetrated market?
It's like if you so I will answer by saying that India is still not deeply penetrated in terms of consumption. Right? We do have people who are online and they are buying, or they are at least watching videos online, but not everyone is shopping online. If you look at just mobile phone penetration, maybe it's in like close to 1 billion people who are mobile phone, but only 100 million of them, or 100 plus million, are shopping online. So the next 200 million is going to be part of that. Like India, as India grows, as consumption grows, as GDP per capita goes up in India, there will be so many more consumers who will value the convenience of shopping online. We have seen this phenomenon around the world. So we have a very large opportunity still remaining in India. We have 1.4 billion people. Let's take a good chunk of that and make sure that they are able to come online, shop online, get the best value, and get the fastest delivery possible. And with that, I believe there is a big opportunity. So beyond the tier 1 cities, there's a huge opportunity in the Bharat which is like tier 2, tier 3 cities, where we are seeing very deep penetration now starting to happen. In fact, if you look at the Prime Day performance that we just finished our Prime Day, almost 70% of new Prime customers or Prime members came from these smaller cities. If you look at our sellers who participated in Prime Day, almost 65% of them got a sale from smaller town and city. So I think India is growing. India has a very large set of folks who are online but not yet shopping online. We just need to make sure they all start shopping online and ultimately become a Prime member for us so that we can serve them really well.
I'm curious to know, how does India stack up compared to some of the global markets? I'm sure it is one of your perhaps the fastest growing markets that you have, because globally also it is, the fastest growing large economy. Mm-hmm. So just doing the math, does it stack up very favorably? Is it in the top few markets? Where does it go from here? Just a competitive analysis, market versus market.
I can't divulge the numbers, but it's definitely one of our fastest growing market, continues to be, and it has been in that bucket for close to since we launched. We were the fastest among all our marketplaces to get to a run rate of $1 billion. That was way back when, in 2015, that we got there. So we announced that. We are the fastest to get to $2 billion. And we continue to see the growth of India And as India grows, and we have been part of this digital India journey from the very beginning, and we are really proud of that. And we are a big believer that in the long run, India will be one of the biggest contributor to our growth. And as Jeff called out in 2021, that 21st century is India's century. And our leadership continues to believe in that. So we'll continue to focus on basics of growing the inputs of our business, which is around largest selection, get the best value, and continue to improve speed. And with that, hopefully more and more customers will come and try Amazon and become Prime members.
Is there a timeline to that? You said at some point of time, India will grow to be, one of the major contributors, the biggest contributor, perhaps, just looking at the demographics. Is there a time frame that you have bound yourself to?
It's very interesting that you asked that question. That's one of our competitive advantage. If you ask about Amazon, we tend to look in decades, and so we never put, when we say we think long term, we really mean that. That becomes because if you tell somebody, hey, go solve for world hunger, and they will not pick up the challenge if you tell them solve it tomorrow. But if you say you have 100 years to go solve for world hunger, people will take that challenge and problem. And that's why when we apply say that go make India big, our leaders are just looking for scale it up, make it big, make customers happy, focus on inputs. But they don't ask us that, hey, I want by this date, you want to be the biggest in the. They just give us the time. They will watch us to say, are you growing it in the right way? Are you focused on the customers? Are your inputs improving? And while you grow the business, are you also making it sustainable over the long run? And those are the questions that are asked. It's not about when do I get to number one or number two. Those timelines we don't discuss. We are very, very long-term focused. And when we entered India, it's been 20 plus years we have entered India. And it's almost 12 plus years that we have been doing e-commerce in India. And we are happy with the progress that we have made, but there's so much to do. We have this philosophy that it's always day one, but it's truly day one for us in India.
Right. Let's turn to quick commerce. It's been, a few weeks since Amazon now launched in Delhi, almost more than 6 months since it launched here in Bengaluru. What has been the response like, and really how do you scale it beyond the two cities, particularly and especially because e-commerce is such a happy, exciting growth story, a money spinner of sorts for players, but also because there are incumbents like Zepto, Instamart, Blinkit, who are also already firmly entrenched and have enjoyed a first mover's advantage?
So first of all, like your question on beyond Bangalore and Delhi, stay tuned for that. Like we have a very big plan to grow beyond our. We started with a pilot in Bangalore 6 months back, and it took us a few months to get the customer experience right. We spent time to make sure that our supply chain was straightened. We have the right set of selection in our dark stores. The micro fulfillment center, as we call them. So we got them all organized. And once we got to a good place, we said the customers are liking what we build. Then we started expanding. So if you say the take up, like what we value is, are you repeating? Are you coming back again and again to shop with us? If that is happening, then the customers are loving that experience. And believe me, it's been overwhelming to see the customer response. In fact, both prime and non-prime customers, at least in our first few stores that we launched, it's been an incredible experience. We are really liking what we have, and customers are giving us feedback around the selection that we carry and the quality of produce that we carry. And we have spent a lot of time building the back-end fulfillment and supply chain infrastructure. So that has been really good for us. Coming to your questions on competition, I believe that, and we at Amazon believe that competition is always good for us. We welcome that. But at the same time, this whole space, e-commerce and online commerce, is such a big space. There's room for multiple players. And we believe it's very early on. We are still scratching the surface. So there will be room for multiple players in this space. And if you are differentiating on behalf of customers, you will do well. And how we are differentiating is we will not only be available at a fast speed with a limited selection, but we'll also provide very large selection that will be available to you in hours, and some cases in the evening or early morning the next day, and in other cases in 2 days. So we will serve customers' need when they need it and what they need, and provide them the widest assortment or selection that's possible at every speed point that's possible. So that will be our differentiation over time.
So, where you said watch this space, and I'm sure consumers are now waiting in other cities to get access to this huge platform and sort of ultra fast deliveries on things like grocery, things that you've already, launched in Bengaluru and New Delhi. How long do they have to wait, and which cities will be upfront?
Stay tuned. You'll hear from us soon about that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's turn to exports. You had talked about an $80 billion of export target, cumulative export target in e-commerce from India by 2013. My question to you is, given the overall macroeconomic realities and the trade and tariff headwinds that we see over the last many months, is that target being revisited? Do you think there is a need to do that?
First of all, I'm not an expert on tariff, but I'm somewhat know about what we need to do, like what we control. We control is building a frictionless and really smooth experience for our sellers, whether it's building the middle mile or the global mile capability for people to take their item and able to distribute it around the world. So we are building that capability. Make it easier for sellers to list their products in one place and go through the regulatory and compliance requirement in each of the marketplaces that we run.
My question to you is, do you think exporters are getting daunted, these small artisans and traders who use your platform, for US markets? Are they getting sort of intimidated by this whole, tariff war that is, unfolding between India and the US? And what do you do in such an instance? Do you do some sort of an outreach for those exporters, handhold them to, nudge them into, looking at other markets as well?
We handhold our sellers all the time. We provide them tools and best practices and encourage them to figure out. And if something is selling here, we give them signals to how can they. So what we control is the experience that they have once we have onboarded them. And we'll continue to focus on that.
Let's talk about the festive season, the happy part of the year, and it is upon us. What are the consumer buying sentiments at this point of time? Are they better than last year? Are they a bit lukewarm? How do you assess the market, and what are your expectations from the festive season in India?
I'm looking forward to it. Like, first of all, I would say that we just finished our Prime Day sale last month, and since then we are and when we got really good take for the Prime Day. Like, we had a sale of 18,000 orders per minute, and which is like 50% larger than the last Prime Day. So there was a good uptake, and as I talked about, that we had really good uptake of Prime, and tier 2, tier 3 cities performed really well. So the portion of business that we got from there was really high. So as we go past that, we had our Freedom Sale, and now it's coming up to festive season. It started with Rakhi, which is over. Then Janmashtami is coming up, followed by Ganesh Chaturthi, followed by Onam, Dasara, Diwali. We'll be really happy to serve customers during that time, and I'm really excited. I can tell you that we as Amazon are preparing well for the event, including we have open fulfillment capabilities. We are enabling sellers to send their products into our fulfillment centers, and we are getting ready for that. So I'm really excited about the entire festive season. It's already started, and look forward to the next few months.
So the supply side is in place. How is the demand? And, what are those indicators that you see from a buying sentiment point of view, which is sort of leading to this sort of optimism for you?
I think because e-commerce and convenience is a big play for us, and it will also depend on the kind of deals and promotions that we have, along with the everyday low pricing that we provide to our customers. So I am looking for, even though we have seen some of the things that has happened in the past, but we are really excited about what's coming now. And the customer sentiments, at least on Amazon, we are seeing decent traffic, Prime uptake is really good, and the kind of deals and the prices that we'll have on the platform, and our sellers are excited about it. So I'm looking forward to the event.
I want to ask you about AI, which is really the fuel of the new era. But before that, some focus on the numbers. Amazon Seller Services for FY24, your overall operating revenue grew 14%, which was, which made you surpass 25,000 crore mark. But your net losses, although they were lower by 30%, they were still at about 3,400 odd crore. What improvements do you expect in FY25? And when do you see a break even and indeed profits? FY26, FY27, when do we see a break even or profits?
Stay tuned. As I said, we are very, very long-term focused in India. And as we said, like it's not just focused on growth. It's not an either or for us. We need to focus on growth as well as profitability. And both are coming. Stay tuned. And whenever we publish our 25 numbers, you'll see some of that as well.
Okay, then let's look at artificial intelligence, an enabler or a disruptor, whatever view you take on it, you cannot ignore it. And it is across different industries. It's changing the face of things as we know it. What role will AI and machine learning play in enhancing customer experience and for Amazon's own operations? And what will it really mean? Because there's this whole fear of job losses, and we have seen some bits of it coming in news. It's just started to tickle in things that can be done by AI, which used to be done by humans. How founded or unfounded are those fears, and how is AI changing this Amazon juggernaut?
Okay. So I think, like, first of all, I would say that this AI has been around for a long time. Like artificial intelligence, if you look at when I was myself in doing software development way back in 2007-8, AI was still out there. But the last few years have been transformational because of this whole generative AI, which has come in and which has really transformed how we think about every day, living our everyday. And that is truly at the same scale as electricity or telephony or internet, and now this revolution. So we truly believe that it's going to touch every aspect of our life and change it in a meaningful way. So, and as our leaders always say, and Andy just recently said that we need to lean in, because like when these kind of transformational change comes, if you're standing on the sideline and saying, let's wait for it, you'll be left behind. So you have to lean in and change yourself. So my message to all my teams is, we have a leadership principle called learn and be curious. And we all have to be in that mode. We have to continue to be learn and be curious and continue to invent and innovate and embrace this change. So with that, so it's a transformational technology and transformational, it's going to transform everything we do, and including the shopping experience. So, and by the way, I cannot predict the future, but based on what we have seen so far, it's pretty amazing what has happened. I was just giving the example of, we have a tool called Rufus, which was changing how customers shop. Like we have this AI assistant on shopping. It was launched last year, and it's been only months that we have been running that tool. But the changes that we are seeing in that tool, I was on a beta version of tool recently, just today, and it's amazing to see the progress that we have made with that tool itself. So this whole thing in months, the improvement that we have made, we are able to see. And every day I see some show and tell, which is transformational. So it's going to be really, really helpful for us, in my opinion. But what is going to change and how it's going to change, a lot to be seen there. And in terms of, like, I believe anytime some of these disruption comes, there's always going to be fear. I think people have to just lean in and embrace the change. That'll be important. One example I always use is when ATM machines came in, there was a whole idea that whole banking industry will be disrupted, tellers will lose their job. That didn't happen. There's more people in banking industry now than they were when the ATMs were invented. But what it did was it changed the industry. People were no longer giving you money, but they were focusing on financial advice, a lot of other products and innovation that came. So I believe what Gen AI is going to do for us is going to enable the human being to be able to do a lot of different things. For me, like, I'm looking forward to the day when problems like cancer and some of these other diseases are solved because now those impossible things are made possible because AI is out there. I believe we'll also run into challenges. We won't have enough electricity to power all the AI innovation because we'll run out of capacity in GPU. So that's why Amazon as a company is spending like not billions but hundreds of billions of dollars now to build that capability and capacity so we are ready for the future. So my message to anybody, including my team, is embrace this change, lean in, be learn and curious. It's going to transform how we do things, but it's going to be good for us.
Let's turn to consumer interest issue. The Central Consumer Protection Authority, CCPA, has been, you know, had this scrutiny or lens over, the industry, e-commerce companies at large on, what it terms are deceptive practices. It is in fact given 3 months time for a self-audit by companies to ensure these practices are not part of their operations. My question to you is, given this is an important issue, how are you responding to these asks by the regulator or the government, and how are you responding to it? How do you see the scrutiny, coming in from the regulator?
I think what I would say is that like we have always been a customer focused company. So we have always believed at Amazon that first of all, whatever we do, we should make sure that the customers love it. So when you are taking care of your customer or consumer, like we believe that we are at the forefront of making sure that whatever we do is customer backward. So that's my take on this, that there will always be some of these things that will come our way in terms of make sure here are things that you should be doing, and we'll go and audit our systems and make sure we are doing all the right things. But we always have believed that we put customers front and center of everything, and when we see issues with our customer experience, we go and spend all our energy in fixing that, and we'll continue to do that in future as well.
So be it, Competition Commission of India's lens, or you're saying CCPA, you are keeping customers in focus. Do you see this as challenges in a market that is growing at a breakneck speed? I mean, are these things that eventually happen in markets and should happen in markets, checks and balances to be put in place by the regulators and
Yeah,
policymakers?
we are a big believer in complying with the law of the land. Like we have always made sure that wherever we operate in a compliant way. So that way, like these, whether it's Competition Commission or CCPA, all those bodies are making sure that Indian consumers are not hurt. And we are a big believer in making sure that we take care of our customers. So I am more than happy to make sure that whatever the finding is, we address them and we take care of our customers.
If I look at the global landscape today, the biggest narrative, the biggest change is actually the trade and tariff negotiations. And I wanted to ask you, because so many exporters export on your platform, you have a sense, you have the pulse of the market when it comes to exports. How is it affecting things on ground? What are the Indian exporters telling you at this point of time? Are you seeing any changes? Are you detecting things at the ground level, categories that are getting affected, where there is a bit of an uncertainty, orders being held up? Give us a sense of that. As also, it's a difficult time, right? Because there is also call for boycott of American goods. So there is a retaliatory action that is playing out amongst Indian consumers. How do you juggle that? How do you address and deal with this situation?
I think for me, first and foremost, is take care of your customers. And in my customers, they are the buying customers and the selling customers. So we are, for our selling partners and for our buying customers, we want to make sure that we continue to serve them. Outside of that, some of these changes, I'm not an expert in some of these things, so I won't comment on those. And we are keeping an eye on our business and making sure that we enable and empower our sellers and make sure we make it easy for them to sell around the world. And that's my focus right now.
There have been some reports that Amazon could look at spinning off and listing at some point of time the India unit for different reasons, regulatory, operating, business reasons. What is the
I'll just
truth and
stop you
what is your
there.
response?
Mere speculation. I won't comment on those. That's where I leave it at. These are mere speculation.
Samir, where you sit today and the way you think, with the way you look at things, the domestic market still growing quite strong at this point of time, and then global headwinds. What are the big challenges? What are the big opportunities? What keeps you up at night?
I sleep well, so I'll start with that. But things that I continue to focus on are boring things like selection, improving in selection, making sure we can get values to our customers around the country, make sure we get to all the pin codes at the fastest possible speed. So improving our fulfillment capability, our delivery capability, and improving speed is going to be another area of focus. Making sure that we enable and empower our sellers, make the listing experience, like all the AI investment that we do in India is going a lot into making the life of our sellers much easier. So improving the selling experience is another area. We have invested a lot in lower ASP, lower value product because customers, especially in the tier 2, tier city, they value that selection. So we have invested in bazaar and low ASP selection. Continue to focus on growing our prime customer base and getting a much larger prime membership so they can experience the best of Amazon in India is also very important for us. So all those, along with continue to focus on enabling our exporters, like people who do business and sell globally with us, making sure we make the life of those sellers much easier is the focus area for me. So.
On that note, Samir Kumar, it was wonderful speaking to you. Thank you for speaking to PTI.
Thank you so much for giving me the time. Look forward to talking to you sometime soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you.